Greetings and welcome to the Virginia Rental Fleet YouTube channel. I'm Christopher Anastasio and really super appreciate you guys coming by to check out the channel. Let me start right off the bat by saying the purpose of this YouTube channel is to document the process of me building a car rental fleet business, turning what would normally be a liability, a car, into an asset, something that generates income. And it's going to be a very informal channel, at least for a while. So just want to get that out of the way right off the bat. The emphasis is going to be on content, insight, value add for you, the viewer, over production value. So you're probably going to notice that right off the bat as you go through the channel and watch the videos. To give you a brief background about myself, attended the Air Force Academy, served in the Air Force for 5 years, held a variety of consulting, corporate jobs, and eventually got onto more of the business and investing side in 2014 when I started investing in real estate, in single-family rentals, some duplexes, things like that, and I've been doing that now for about 8 years. So that's kind of my progression in terms of career, investing, business activity, and that sort of thing at a high level. So why did I start this channel? Like many people who probably are interested in the subject, I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, came across it in 2003. August 2003 was when I read the book for the first time, and I've read it a few times since then. And that's where I really learned about this concept of taking liabilities and turning them into assets. And in particular, if you've read that book, you know that the author, Robert Kiyosaki, talks a lot about how he sees people's houses as liabilities because it drains money from them versus assets, which put money in your pocket. And that kind of blew my mind at the time. Of course, like many people, I had just gone through life assuming that your house was your biggest asset. And so that book turned that on its head for me and got me thinking about, okay, what other liabilities can be turned into assets? So when I embarked on the real estate journey starting 8 years ago, it started to really reinforce those lessons because I saw how owning those rental properties helped me with cash flow, appreciation or capital gain when some of those properties were sold, tax breaks, things of that nature, just all the different advantages that were accruing from them, even when things went bad, with problems at the houses, maintenance issues, things like that. Those things actually were somewhat helpful to my taxes because it would lower taxable income and offset the rental income that we were receiving from the properties. So the real estate really drove home the lessons learned from Rich Dad Poor Dad. So when it comes to cars, I had first started to notice Turo, and I'm not going to get this exactly right, but I put it somewhere around the 2018 to 2020 timeframe. I started to see commercials on TV about Turo and about how, you could take your own car and rent it out and, probably in much less time than an entire month, earn back your car note, and then you'd have the car for the rest of the month. I mean, that was kind of the theme of the Turo concept. So I was already kind of interested in that because there were some luxury cars that I was very interested in, Porsche Panamera, Mercedes G-Wagon, Range Rover, that I was like, hey, I could get that car, I could list it on Turo, have somebody else pay off my car note in 3, 5, 10 days, and have the car for the rest of the month. So that's where Turo kind of started to enter my consciousness. And then in the summer of 2021, I was already following a podcast called Earn Your Leisure, or EYL. You'll probably hear me refer to it a lot as EYL. And the EYL podcast, and now they're everywhere. I mean, YouTube channels, all kinds of social media. But the podcast was the first thing I came across. They have brought a lot of financial content to the fore that I think is valuable and super helpful and so forth. But one of the standout episodes to me was at least when I watched, I think it was recorded in August 2021, when they sat down with a gentleman who goes online by the name CEO Matty J. And I just refer to him as Matty a lot, but you might also hear me refer to him by his sort of online moniker. So CEO Matty J sat down with the EYL with the guys from EYL, and he talked about how he got started on Turo and built a fleet of, I think he has between 40 and 50, mostly luxury and exotic cars in Atlanta, Georgia. And so that's where I really kind of had my eyes open for the first time to, wow, this can really be scaled into a highly profitable business with, significant cash flow and things of that nature. So coming more to the present, I, along with my partner, had sold several properties in late 2021, early 2022 from the real estate venture, and started to accumulate cash. And we stopped selling in the May, June timeframe. And so as the summer unfolded, the burning thought in my head was, what do I do with this cash? How can I deploy this cash, especially with inflation rising and the fact that the value of that cash is being eroded in my bank account? And so naturally I went to real estate. I said, hey, let me take a look at some real estate properties that I was tracking on a website called Roofstock. So in September of this year, I started to get pretty serious about it. I narrowed down my watch list. I set very specific criteria that I was looking for off of Roofstock, and I approached a non-QM or non-qualified mortgage lender, Visio to be specific, to give me a sample lending profile on a sample house that I sent them. Like, hey, if I buy this house and put 25% down as their requirement, how much will the loan cost, and all these type of factors that go with it. And so they basically came back and said, here's what we would loan you, and here's the interest rate, and here's the points, and here's the closing costs, and so forth. And I believe the house cost around $175,000. I would have had to put down, with the normal 25% payment, the points, the closing costs, etc., somewhere around $55,000. So $55,000 down on a $175,000 home. And the projected cash flow was about $140 a month before maintenance. So it was $140 a month after the loan, after insurance and property taxes. So being already involved in rental real estate, I absolutely knew that there was no way this property would cash flow positively at $143 as it was projected. I think it was $143 to be exact. So realizing that the high interest rate environment, combined with the fact that I believe the housing market as of fall 2022, this is my bold prediction, is going to enter a severe correction over the next few years. Okay, if you look back at the last one, the market collapsed in 2008, but the housing market unwound between 2008, well, even before 2008, 06, 07, all the way till about 2012. So it took about 5, 6, 7 years for that housing market to really bottom out. So I think if we're entering a correction around 22, 23 timeframe, it's going to be several years for that to fully unwind. I would say at the least a few years. So knowing that the interest rate environment and the economic environment were not supportive of investing in real estate at this time, I thought, okay, I need to go back to the drawing board. I need something that is less expensive than real estate, but can produce acceptable cash flow and returns pretty quickly. So given that I was tracking CEO Matty J and his course where he talks about how to do this rental fleet business, and I was already interested in this from about a year plus ago, I immediately pivoted, and on 21 September 2022, I purchased Matty's car rental game, or CRG as you'll sometimes hear me refer to it, purchased his car rental game course. And as I consumed the videos very quickly in the last week and a half of September, and it entered October, I'd come across a link that he included in his resources for Your Advocate Alliance, YAA. And it's founded by a father and son team, the Shefskas, in Bethesda, Maryland. And they basically created a site that helps teach people how to purchase vehicles, how to look out for good deals, how to negotiate deals, how to look out for the different tricks of the trade that dealers use and so forth. I mean, I could go on and on about that site. You're going to hear a lot about it on this channel. You're going to hear me reference it a lot. I could not possibly cover everything it does here in this video. But suffice it to say, by October 2nd, I had signed up for YA's $99 a year annual membership and could not be more impressed with it. So that's how we got to today. Obviously, after buying the CRG course and joining YA, I then realized that given my love for marketing and my passion for marketing and everything I've learned from Gary Vaynerchuk, that I wanted to start a YouTube channel to document this process and to just show every decision, every insight, every thought pattern I had, every outcome, whether it was good or bad, along the way. So, good segue there. What I'm going to be sharing with you on this channel is, quite frankly, everything. Everything I'm doing with this business, starting it, growing it, building it, fixing it, tweaking it, etc., etc. I will obviously primarily be sharing the direct steps I'm taking on the business and building this business, but you're also going to come across some secondary topics where I may weave in things about the financial aspects of the business, the taxes, the bookkeeping, the admin, investing, in other words, money I make from the business, hopefully if that's the outcome, how I'm investing it, relational to real estate, the economy, things of that nature. So you're going to get sort of a secondary dose of economics, finance, real estate, taxes, all those other foundational topics that I've found that I have a deep interest in. So, as I said at the beginning, this is going to be an informal channel. You're going to see a lot of off-the-cuff videos, probably a lot of YouTube shorts, probably a lot of very quick videos like YouTube shorts. You're going to see me making, I presume, a lot of mistakes, particularly in the beginning, as I get my footing and start launching this business. I do not expect of myself to do this perfectly. I think it's going to be a challenge. I think there's going to be some things that are going to be very difficult to navigate in the beginning and to figure out. But I want you to see that firsthand. I want you guys to learn from that and get value from that. So, super accessible. You can drop comments and questions underneath every video, however you want to communicate with me there. You can also, probably the best communication channel for me outside of this YouTube channel is my personal Twitter account at CJ Anastasio. You can find me over there and get in touch with me that way as well. But as far as questions on this business, how I'm doing it, how I'm going about it, I absolutely want you guys to take as much away from it, as much information and value as you possibly can, particularly like these are things to avoid. These are mistakes that you don't have to make. I just plan the channel to be highly accessible like that and treat it as such from your perspective. So with that said, guys, once again, welcome to the channel. Looking forward to having you. If you haven't done so yet, please hit the subscribe button and follow along as I build this rental fleet business. Thanks, guys.